Happy New Year for the first time in 2024. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Canadian Football Countdown, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network. Episode number 238 here today. Ryan, Adam, and Trey here with a CFL offseason roundtable, our first one of the new year, as we are about 1 month away from the kickoff of CFL free agency. A bunch of news over the past couple of weeks that we're going to touch on throughout here today. We also have a fun little announcement about the show to come here in a couple of minutes after we do our introductions here. Canadian Football Countdown brought to you by presenting sponsor Game Time TV, which you can learn more about at gametimetv.ca or facebook.com/gametimetvmb. Let's bring in the rest of the crew here. Adam, Happy New Year to you. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Happy New Year, Ryan. Happy New Year, Trey. I've been doing good. Been dealing with lots of hockey and dealing with that. But it's always fun to talk some Canadian football, especially with all the news that's been coming out. Right, Trey?
Oh, of course, guys. And don't forget, Ukrainian Christmas was over the weekend, too, for anyone who celebrates that. So happy Ukrainian Christmas to my pierogi-loving cousins. I love pierogies. Like, is that not one of the greatest food of all? Those and a good sausage or meat or something. Just the best.
Cabbage roll. You got to have a good cabbage roll.
But if you're not Ukrainian, you have to find a Ukrainian girl because everyone deserves a baba. Everyone deserves a baba. Babas make the best food ever. Yeah. Anyway, if you don't have one of those and you got to go to Regina, there's the Ukrainian Co-op. You can always go there and try out the sausage and the pierogies and the cabbage rolls. Yes.
But babas are better.
The biggest disappointment in my divorce was I lost a baba that made great pierogies. So we'll move on.
I like the new opening of the show where we find a different food to talk about every time. I'm pretty sure the last regular episode was Chicken Talk, which would have been our season wrap-up show at the end of the year back in late November, early December. Took some time off over the holidays. Hope everybody had a wonderful festive season, whether it was filled with pierogies or not. And we're back now more regularly with things heating up, heading towards free agency. Of course, before we go any further, we want to acknowledge that the Canadian Football Countdown is brought to you from Treaty 1 territory, traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation, as well as from Treaty 4 territory, traditional territory of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, and Métis Nation. Also, if you want to get more content from us, check out the Discord community. There is a link in the description. It's free to join. We've got CFL talk discussing the news as it drops in there pretty regularly as well throughout the off season. Also, before we get into the main content, our fun little announcement to share here on today's show is we have an exciting new partner here on the Canadian Football Countdown, as we are now a proud member of the Alternative Football Network. We were asked to fill a CFL presence there in the network, along with a handful of other great shows that cover, different football leagues out there, basically anything but the NFL. There may be even some NFL talk in there as well, but I know the UFL dispersal draft and all of the merging of the leagues is going on right now, so I'm sure some good content there. AlternativeFootballNetwork.com, and on Twitter you can find them at the official AFN. Exciting opportunity to collaborate with some other great football podcasts out there for us, and to get some little extra promotion coming our way through that as well. Anybody have anything else to add on that?
It's exciting. I mean, you know what? Anytime you get to join another group like the Alternative Football Network, it's a good opportunity. And I mean, you get to learn about a different league, maybe that we don't know as much about, and they get to learn about a league that maybe they don't know so much about. I mean, the first time I heard Alternative, I was like, well, but they're the alternative, not us. I thought we were the mainstream, but you know what? I guess we all are kind of the alternative. So really kind of cool. So, looking forward to it. Troy, anything on that?
No, it's a great experience to move into the South. And as we already got some friends from America, our buddy Brandon and a couple others in the Discord, there's a big love for the CFL down there. And why not? I miss football right now. Watching the NFL and wrapping up in the playoffs coming up, it's really making me miss CFL a little bit extra right now. So it's good to talk about it, guys.
Yes, for sure. I was in weird to say, like, we took the month off kind of over the holidays, and it was like, it's kind of nice to have free time on one hand, but then it's like it just feels weird, especially like NFL fantasy season has wrapped up now, so my interest in NFL has gone down a little bit here and there, and it's like I just want more football to talk about. So whether it's the spring leagues coming up to keep tabs on that a little bit, and then CFL season. I mean, that's the busiest time of year. It's the most wonderful time of year, free agency. I think it's February 13th this year.
Yep.
Is the date of it. So we're about a month out. We're recording this January 9th. And teams are starting to make their moves, figure out what their teams are going to look like heading into free agency day, at least, which lets us get into some of the biggest news to start us off here, which is quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson is making his way back from the aforementioned U.S. Spring League. He was in the USFL last season. He's come back to the CFL and signs with the Edmonton Elks. The Elks have been electing to go with McLeod Bethel Thompson seemingly as their starter. They give him a contract worth starter money. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. I can look them up as you guys weigh in on stuff. But they sign MBT, name them their starters, say Trey Ford is going to be the backup, going to learn from him, and Taylor Cornelius is cut with guaranteed money still being paid out this upcoming year by the Elks. Adam, let's go to you first. What do you think of this signing?
Oh, Chris Jones, you'll never learn. The one thing I gotta say is, I mean, you gotta hand it to him. I mean, he had to be the first general manager that gets caught with guaranteed money on a player that he wanted to cut. The writing on the wall was on there for Taylor Cornelius. Unfortunately, he lost his job to Trey Ford later in the season. It was kind of expected that Trey Ford was going to maybe be the starter, move up to be at least get a really good opportunity to be the starter here in 2024. But never say never on McLeod Bethel Thompson. Remember last year when the rumors were he's coming to Montreal, he's going to maybe come to Ottawa. Just to take a spot because Ottawa really needs him. And no, I'm not coming because I want to be down south and I'm going to stay down south. Well, things have obviously changed. Had a good year for the New Orleans Breakers. Was the 2023 passing yards leader in the USFL. So he's a good quarterback. It's a good opportunity for Edmonton to improve in the position that they really probably needed to. Trey Ford, I mean, don't get me wrong. He was a good quarterback. He's still a very good quarterback, I think. I think he needs some more development, especially in the passing game. His run game is very good. But this is a good choice for Edmonton, I believe, even though they did have some guaranteed money on Taylor Cornelius. Does that transfer over to Winnipeg when he goes over there, Trey, that money?
I don't believe so. I think that stays on Edmonton's books.
First of all, that's not official. Let's be clear. I'm manifesting that. I'm thinking Taylor Cornelius, new backup quarterback for the Bombers next year.
Can I cancel my season tickets? Like, I've already reordered them. But the biggest thing that surprised me about this signing wasn't necessarily Edmonton wanted him. I'm surprised he wanted Edmonton. I think that obviously he probably wasn't going to go back to Toronto with my boy Chad Kelly there. Montreal probably doesn't. There's a bunch of teams that probably didn't want him. Hamilton, I would have been over maybe MBT over re-signing Bo or restructuring Bo. And then what other teams I have? Ottawa, maybe. I'm just surprised he went there. Now, 500,000 it seems to be the number probably that he's getting for the 1 year. That doesn't sound like USFL money to me, so maybe that plays a factor into it. Now maybe he played, what was it, Tom Brady, when he retired for a few months and realized he didn't want to be around his family, so maybe that's why he's coming back up to Canada.
Oh no!
So as far north as I can.
So yeah, it was a Brady retired for 3 months and realized he didn't like his wife and left, and then now they're divorced. So that's what happens, right? So I'm not saying that's what Bethel Thompson is, but it's good for him to get a contract like that. He's got to be in his later 30s, right? So
yeah, 35-year-old. That puts him right up there age-wise with the likes of Collaros, Bo, Trevor Harris, etc.
Yeah, so he could definitely still perform. We saw that in the USFL and even the year before, leading up to the Grey Cup, right? So I don't mind. I think he'll. yes, it might ruin some of the development plan of Trey Ford, but I do think it's an immediate upgrade. Is it a long-term upgrade? No, but immediate one this year, I don't mind it. Now, if I'm Trey Ford, like, are we going to get into that tonight, or?
Yeah, well, my initial reaction was, okay, who's signing Trey Ford in free agency 2025? Because he's not going to come back here to the Elks. And that could very well happen, and that is a risk they're taking with this move. Obviously, there is a lot of upset fans around the league, and that was my initial reaction too, was just like, he was fun to watch last year, and everyone's hoping he's going to take the next step forward. And they are a little upset to see him not get the chance to do that, because he kind of turned around their season a little bit later in the year. But, you know, hearing some of the press conference comments, hearing what McLeod Bethel Thompson said, supposedly he reached out to Trey Ford the other day and talked to him a little bit. And one of the things he had said about Ford was, he's magic when he runs with his legs. And I'm paraphrasing this. When a play breaks down, he can make magic happen. But he needs to learn to make the designed plays happen first, and only use that as a backup, not have that happen regularly. And yeah, I think there is development Ford needs before he can go be a top tier starter in the CFL. And I think learning from a guy like Bethel Thompson is a good idea. I also think, like you said, they did this for a short-term thing. The Elks need to win now. People are not, like, they're losing season ticket sales. People are down on this team. Ford was ironically the only thing that I would say brought people maybe back into the stands later in the season, but they got to win now. And I think Bethel Thompson does give them a bit of a better opportunity to do so than Trey Ford does.
Where do we think Cornelius is actually going to land?
I think it's Winnipeg.
Oh, really?
I want to see what Taylor Cornelius is going to be worth, to be honest with you. I mean, he hasn't proved. He's proven a little bit. I mean, yes, he could beat the Saskatchewan Roughriders in a foot race. I've seen that over the years. His arm, he's got a big arm, but he's sometimes very inaccurate. He needs either time to develop. I don't know if that's the case. He's already getting into that age where you got to be already performing. I don't know. To me, I think Winnipeg would actually be better to look for a young guy behind him. Behind Zach Collaros instead. If you put who did you guys have as a third string? I can't remember now.
Prukop still?
Yeah, Dakota Prukop probably would be your second string. And I'd look for a young guy in the third string, to be honest with you, just because I don't know if Taylor Cornelius, I mean, he's got to be kind of like in a spot where he could actually probably compete for that number one spot. Collaros is there. He's not. I think maybe Ottawa.
I don't think Cornelius right now, after what we saw from him this past season, is in a spot somebody's going to pay him the money to be their number one quarterback. I think he's going to have to accept a backup, maybe a 1A, 1B job. And if you're surveying things around the league, like learning from Zach Collaros, who's been a two-time MOP, almost arguably in the conversation last year, and Buck Pierce as offensive coordinator, to improve your game there. Like maybe it doesn't make so much sense from the Bombers' sense, but to me, it makes sense for Taylor Cornelius to maybe pick a spot like that to improve your game a little bit, and then look for a starter opportunity next contract if you can show you're developing, kind of like Drew Brown did.
Well, fair, but my thing is you've seen this last year with Cody Fajardo. There's a lot of players saying, where in the world, or anybody really saying, where in the world is he going to end up? I mean,
yep.
Right. Last year, the only real destination for any quarterback that was like for a starter was Saskatchewan, and they finished up with him. I say Ottawa might do like Cody Fajardo, like they did with Cody Fajardo. Give him a 1-year prove-it deal. He's making guaranteed money off of Edmonton right now. You can give him a smaller amount bring him in and put some offensive line in front of him and see what happens. I mean, that could be an option as well for Ottawa. Trey, where do you think he's going to end up?
What about BC with Dane Evans retiring?
Oh, that could be a good one.
That's
too.
a good one.
Yeah. I think because I know, Ryan, you put him in your top 5 in the offseason. I've never been.
We're not talking about.
I've never been high on him, and to me, I'm like, if Zach Collaros goes down, God forbid, but I mean, I'd still rather Prukop in than Cornelius if that's the way the Bombers go with it. That because what has Cornelius overly shown? I mean, at least Prukop can do 2-yard runs every down or 2 or 3 yard runs every down, right? And maybe pick up a first eventually. But yeah, maybe BC with Dane Evans, kind of that out of right field retirement a little bit. Or I like Ottawa.
Not to bring the receipts here, but Adam did have him ranked higher than me on his preseason rankings last year. I had him number 4. Adam had him at number 3. So.
Fair. But yeah, I had one other thought. If I would be okay with the Bombers if it was literally a 1-year deal, so then next year we could get Trey Ford. That's the way I would go if the Bombers had to take him.
And another team that could possibly take him, I mean, they do have 2 free agent quarterbacks available, is the Rough Riders. I mean, at least he won't burn us in the run game all the time. And honestly, he's had some pretty good games in Saskatchewan. So unfortunately, it's been on the other side of the football. But Saskatchewan does not have Dolegala or Mason Fine under contract.
Look, I just want him to come to Winnipeg so there's a world where Cornelius is Trey's favorite Bomber quarterback.
Prukop would be number 1, 100% Prukop. And then even though he's a special teams coach now, I can count Mike Miller because he did take that one under center 2 years ago or something. So
is that how that works?
I don't know. But
all right, sticking with the quarterback theme here, let's move on to the Hamilton Tiger Cats because this is another really interesting one. Bo Levi Mitchell restructuring his contract with Hamilton to keep him under contract for the next 2 seasons. Last time we left off, Bo was benched in the playoff game by Hamilton and only added into the game with, I think, 6 minutes left, was it, in the game. Not enough time, despite Matt Schultz not getting anything going. Mitchell upset after the game. Seemed like comments from both sides kind of leading towards it was going to be a mutual parting of ways between the teams. And I'm surprised. I'll take this first as somebody who's been hard on Bo Levi Mitchell. I'm surprised to see him come back here and restructure his contract for these next 2 years. He's taking less money, I believe, under this as well, which will give Hamilton the flexibility to add more pieces around him. But I don't know if I saw, I don't think I see a starting opportunity for him around the league necessarily. Like maybe Ottawa, because we don't know what they're doing with their 4 QBs yet. So I thought maybe that's a spot for him. Maybe he's going to a backup job somewhere else. So it could just be that there aren't other opportunities. But my first reaction after that playoff game debacle was like, if you're Bo, how do you trust that this team truly wants you as the guy coming into next year and now taking a massive pay cut? I wonder how you trust that necessarily either, because now I feel like it's a lot easier to have the leash out on you if you're playing not the greatest early in the season. There's no argument of, oh, well, we paid him $500,000, so he's got to start. No, he's making however much he's making, and we'll play the best quarterback out there on the field. So I don't love this for Bo, and I don't love this for the Ticats. He's going to be their starter, expected to be. And I don't know, his play's gone downhill. I'm not pumped on him as a starter for this team. Trey?
I don't know. All I could think about TSN doesn't want him now either for some reason. I don't know. Why is he coming back to football? I thought he does fine on the broadcast. I don't see him as a coach. I see him as in the booth or something or the panel more than this. But I mean, we talk about Bo's ego. Is that a thing? Does he not want to go out on a bad year? And he just thinks his best chances in Hamilton. Like we said, where else would he go? Minus maybe Ottawa, but that's not a given either. So I don't know. This one shocked me. Almost everything we're going to talk about tonight shocked me beyond belief. And this was probably up. This was tied with the last news we had. So I thought it was all but done, right? You know, he was kind of saying his goodbyes. He was giving his farewell speech. And I didn't even think we'd see him in a jersey, let alone Hamilton, Adam.
Well, I think there's one reason why he's sticking around, and I'll tell you right away on that. But first, I was stunned about this. You're right. I looked at it. I thought I heard like you said it perfectly, Trey. The eulogy was written for Bo Levi Mitchell to go and ride off into the sunset. But all of a sudden, I guess probably Hamilton went and looked around and said, "Can we get anything for him?" And probably Bo Levi went and looked around and said, "Can I start anywhere?" And both of them looked at each other and said, guess both of us are stuck with each other, essentially, is what I think happened here. The second part is there's a new head coach in town. Scott Milanovic must really like Bo Levi Mitchell's play. I think that's partly why he's sticking around here. He's getting a pretty good bonus. He's getting a $50K bonus. He's only getting $225, which I'm sure is the least amount that Bo Levi Mitchell has ever gotten on a contract. But up to 110 incentives, that's not bad, I guess. Probably pretty similar to what last year, if he makes the Grey Cup, I would presume is what it all is. That being said, though, I don't know. I don't like it for Hamilton. I'll tell you right now, Bo Levi Mitchell is not a starter in this league anymore. I'll say it again. He just is not got the performance like he used to have. He doesn't have the arm like he used to have. Minus one game where he looked like an all-star last year. He had not had any great performances. His interception to touchdown ratio is atrocious. I don't like it for Hamilton, but unless they looked around and they said, well, who's better? If anybody's got one, let us know. I think they were pretty much stuck with Bo Levi Mitchell.
Here's a question for you both. MBT at 500K or Bo at 225? Which one would you prefer?
MVP at 500, without a doubt. I mean, McCall Bethel Thompson last year was, again, a touchdown or a yards leader in a league. Looked really good. Had a good year with New Orleans. Year before, he took Toronto to a Grey Cup. It's McCall Bethel Thompson all the way here. Trey?
Oh, no questions. I don't think I would want to touch Bo with anything right now. The only thing I could think of is, did he have shoulder surgery a year or two ago or something? I thought he had a really bad shoulder. So
I think it was like 2019. I want to say it was like 2019, and it's kind of gone downhill since.
Yeah, but I wonder, sometimes you see it in baseball. A guy will get it a little bit back, it takes time to come back. So, because he was flinging it okay in the playoff game, he was overthrowing it, if anything. So that's not I'd rather you overthrow it than underthrow it, I guess, right? But unless that's something they were talking about, other than that, I agree. This is wild. But
I'll point the devil's advocate and say I would consider taking Bo at 225 because I talked about this. I think this was on our season wrap-up show, or maybe after the awards were named, that I would, the whole Chad Kelly thing and the Nathan Rourke thing of cheap quarterback, build the team around them with the money instead. Every quarterback's going to get injured in this league. Almost everyone does. In the NFL, they do now too. We're seeing second and third strings there. It's ridiculous. So it's like, do you need to invest $500,000 in a top tier quarterback, or are you better having a solid 1A, 1B situation? I like the MBT and Trey Ford stack over Bo and whoever it's going to be in Hamilton in that sense. But if this lets them improve elsewhere, I think, to me, that's the winning strategy now. It is pay cheap at quarterback and build the team around them. And paying cheap at quarterback for a guy who is not at that state anymore, but one of the best quarterbacks of the past decade or two, I think there is some merit in that. So I will hold off on my criticism in that sense on the signing here of Bo. And we'll see what the rest of the roster brings for them with being able to make a couple extra moves here.
I'm going to be a little bit tough on Bo Levi Mitchell, but in all honesty, I'd almost take Taylor Cornelius at 225 over Bo Levi Mitchell right at this time.
Ooh.
And again, it's because of age, and it's because both of them have a similar game, both like big throws. I think Taylor Cornelius is more accurate right now.
So you know what? I thought of that too. I was wondering if Cornelius would have been a good fit in Hamilton before the restructure. Because is it who's the other guy in Hamilton right now? It's been a long month.
Matt Schultz and Taylor Powell, but I'm not sure if of their free agents.
Yeah. See, and I'm going to be honest, it's going to sound like I'm trashing the East a little bit, but maybe Cornelius is an East Division quarterback, if you know what I mean, over a Western Division quarterback. Because we saw, Cody Fajardo had a tough time in the West. Oh, and then he wins a Grey Cup in the East. Shocker, surprise, right? So maybe Cornelius will have the same thing.
So Matt Schultz is a free agent, but I believe Taylor Powell is under contract, unless he doesn't show up on the list because he got demoted to the practice roster late in the season. I don't think he did, though. I know he got benched, but I don't think it was practice rosters. So Yeah, maybe it's Bo and Powell. I don't hate that combo. I think we saw some intriguing things from Powell, and he's got opportunity to grow there. But yeah, not super sold on it, but not a lot of opportunities for different moves here. Let's stick with the quarterback theme. We have so much quarterback news today. We're talking, since we're in this space already, let's talk about another contract restructure. And we'll go to you first on this one, Adam, for obvious reasons. Trevor Harris restructuring his contract with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Looks like, according to 3 Down Nation, he was scheduled to make $525,000 in 2024. We don't know what his cut is now, but it seemed like it was a decent pay cut to allow them to stack more options around him.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to. I mean, you look at the guy, he's coming back from a knee surgery, and it's going to be a 39-year-old quarterback in the backfield for the Rough Riders, likely as a starter. So they need some help in that offensive line, no question. Even if they got 200 off his contract or 100 off his contract, it's big for the Riders. They need it to go and get a Canadian offensive line. They need those pieces. I know that there's been talk on the local radio news about Brett Jones. I keep hearing it, but I don't know why, because he's been gone for so long already. It probably doesn't make much sense, but they need the help for different pieces. And I do like this move. I'm not so comfortable if Trevor Harris is the guy going into next year and the year after and the year after because of the age and because of the knee. And I'm even concerned about him coming back from a knee surgery. I mean, that's big surgery, and he's not the youngest of guys on the team. So I think this is a good move. It might let you bring back a guy like Jake Dolegala if he wasn't very expensive to begin with. I'm not sure what exactly he was going to come back at. But, yeah, you got to get some help in Riderville for behind Trevor Harris, and this definitely helps it. Trey?
Yeah, no, I think this one was good all around. For him, like, you know, did we know how much he was due before? Because I know I was kind of listening to what you said it was restructured to, but
no, that's what it was. We don't know what it was restructured to, but before it was $525, including a $250K roster bonus on February 1st.
Yeah, it's probably just rearranging that roster bonus in a way, you know, to help the team better and stuff. So, yeah. I don't mind it. I think, like Adam said, they need all the help they can get in the salary cap.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, money is this isn't the NFL where you're making millions and millions of dollars. So a shorter playing career is how much does this set you up for the rest of your life? We see guys have jobs post football all the time here, but so, you know, taking a pay cut is a little more significant than these NFL stars do. But at the same time, you know, is it worth it to be able to walk away from the game of football, not due to injury, because your team can invest a little more in an offensive line to keep you upright? I wonder, right? Like, if he's taking hits all day long, would I take a bit of a cut so that my team can protect me a little bit more? That then I'm going to play better because I'm more protected. And if I'm going for another contract in a couple of years, maybe that better play gets me more money at that time. So it's an interesting thing, these pay cuts that these quarterbacks are taking. And it's intriguing to me what the teams are going to do with it. Full credit to Trevor Harris. He was slinging it early last season. I was mad. I was not too impressed, not too excited for him going over to Saskatchewan. And he's hit or miss a lot of times. I thought he played some pretty strong football there early in the season. They kind of missed him down the stretch there after he got injured. So I hope he can bounce back from it nicely.
Yeah, I think the Riders would have made the playoffs at minimum, at least if Trevor Harris was there. He did have a good start to the season. Yeah, they got lots of signings to do in Riderville yet. I mean, they had a couple fresh signings lately. I seen that they brought back Mario Alford. They did let go of Derek Moncrief as well. So lots of stuff going on in Saskatchewan, lots of pieces moving around. I know there's lots of rumors of Toronto guys coming to Saskatchewan. So it'll be very interesting to see what the Riders do in the rest of this offseason, especially getting closer to free agency. yeah, they got a little extra money at least to play with.
And where's that money going to go? To me, it's got to go to the offensive line, right?
Yeah.
Yes and no, actually. I'll say, you know what? The secondary of Saskatchewan's was pretty awful last year. You don't have a guy coming back in Nick Marshall. He's been arrested, probably going to be in Georgia prison for a very long time soon. Hard to say on that, but you never know. And I'm sure the Riders were taking no chances. They just released him. Was due to be a free agent anyways. Their linebacking core, they got to go and update a guy like Derek Moncrief. Their defensive line was not the overly best. And, of course, yeah, their offensive line still was kind of failing them in the end. So they got a lot of updates to do in Saskatchewan, so they need the money.
And they've got if they can keep the receiving core together, that was a bright future receiving core. We had 2 1,000-yard receivers to Emelis and Bain, I think, both hit 1,000, right? And Tevin Jones was at like 800 or something like that before they decided he needed to learn, or they weren't happy with how he was playing, so they benched him. Love you, Craig Dickinson.
We're going bowling.
Yeah, more money for bowling parties. There we go.
There's what it is. But yeah, they do have Sean Bain Jr. under contract. Is a free agent right now. Sam Emelis, I believe, is not a free agent though. But he is getting some tryout looks in the U.S. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, they do have a pretty impressive Canadian receiving core in Riderville. So they can keep most of that together. They should look pretty good. But yeah, there's a lot of other pieces that need fitting in Saskatchewan.
I agree, guys.
Sticking with the quarterback theme, another one that I'm throwing in here last minute that I just remembered we haven't talked about yet, that you kind of alluded to earlier, Trey, which is there's a vacancy in the backup quarterback role for the BC Lions because Dane Evans has retired from pro football. I think this one was a bit of a surprise to a lot of people as well. Evans had some starting time, had some promise in Hamilton. It was him, it was Mazzoli, it was who's it going to be between the two of them back and forth for a couple of years. He goes over to BC to be a solid 1B there, but didn't really get playing time because Vernon Adams was playing pretty darn good. Any thoughts on Dane Evans retiring at this point in his career? Trey?
I was a little surprised. He maybe, I don't know, is it one of those things where maybe he just couldn't quite get a starting spot? So let's call it early before we get more head injuries. He's only 30. It kind of feels like Andrew Luck vibes, a little earlier. I'm not comparing the two talent-wise, by the way, but just, maybe leaving a little earlier than he could. He could stretch it out. He's a very serviceable backup. I'd take him over Cornelius and other people into my backup role. So little shocking, but maybe it's just like I said, do you want to be a backup and be away from the family and hold the clipboard for a little bit less money, or do you want to go and move on to your next part of life? And that's probably what he chose, right, guys?
I would think so. I mean, you got to remember that pretty much most income is going to be made after the CFL. In our league, it's not made during the CFL. So if he had a job opportunity or something else going on, I can't blame him one bit for doing it. He was a decent quarterback in Hamilton. I'll give him that. I mean, I honestly thought that he was going to get the job over Mazzoli that time, but never worked out really. So ended up in BC, sat there, had a couple games there. Didn't look so great behind Vernon Adams once in a while, but still, you know what? Hey, everybody's got their time in the CFL. Our Father Time's never been defeated, and they called Dane Evans number now, so best of luck to him and whatever he's doing.
Yeah, for sure. And we talked about it a little bit earlier with some of those contracts I feel like most guys in the CFL, unless you're making the top dollar, like as you get along in your career, part of it in the back of your mind is what am I doing post football? And like you said, if there's an opportunity that comes, you got to weigh that decision. We see that from time to time, guys surprisingly retiring earlier in their careers, and I can't blame them for that. If you got to a pro football league, you got to play in front of thousands of fans. Like that's pretty cool. Like congrats on making it as far as you did, and Yeah, you didn't get the you didn't get the Grey Cup, unfortunately. A couple of seasons there, he was close, but still a solid career for Dane Evans. I still remember when he came in as the fourth string for Hamilton. That was the year when Johnny Manziel, I believe, was the starter that year, and all of a sudden Evans came in on his first game. I think it was a game where Manziel maybe tossed like 4 picks, and Dane Evans came in and looked pretty good. So he had his moments for sure in the CFL. All right, next quarterback to talk about is Drew Brown, backup quarterback of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We're going to kind of bounce around between the topics we had planned here because we're in the quarterback space. And Kyle Walters, all the GMs, I think, are at a GM conference right now, and they're getting interviewed and stuff. And Kyle Walters had some interesting comments on a couple notable free agents for him. One of them being Drew Brown, most likely not going to be back with the Bombers. I think we all kind of expected that was probably going to happen. And he talked kind of a little bit about that Brown is a guy who wants an opportunity to go and start. And regardless of how much money we can offer him, if somebody offers similar, he's probably going to take that instead. So we'll talk about these other comments he has on Oliveira and Dalton shown here yet as well. But any surprise there on Drew Brown, Trey?
A little bit, and I'm not even going to do my normal spiel of I take him over someone else, but where's he going to start? We were just talking about there's nowhere for Bo to go. There's really nowhere for Cornelius to go. The Dane Evans is a backup. Where's Drew Brown going to go where he's going to be a starter day one? Yeah. So, I mean, he's to be completely honest, he's got just as much chance of starting games this year behind a 38-year-old Zach Collaros as he does going behind Vernon Adams in BC or Trevor Harris in Saskatchewan, doesn't he? Like, I don't think there's anywhere unless he thinks he outshines everyone in Ottawa's camp right now. He ain't starting over Fajardo. He ain't starting over Chad Kelly. He ain't starting probably over Schultz and Bo. I don't know where else he's going to go. So
There's an interesting team none of us have talked about today. Jake Mayer in Calgary. Any of these guys potentially you'd consider over him?
I guess not. I mean, if Calgary's willing to put their money on the bench and potentially, I don't know, maybe Calgary. Who's their backup? I know they got Wild.
Tommy Stevens. Yeah,
is that it? That's it. Oh, okay.
Touchdown Tommy. Yep.
No, you go with Wild Thing, and that's it.
Adam,
what do you got?
If I'm Drew Brown, I would either look at Calgary or I'd look at Saskatchewan. I mean, I one hit and you're in, or in Calgary's case, maybe a short leash and you're in. Even in Saskatchewan, to be honest with you, if he's not 100% and he's not ready to go because of his injury, and let's face it, that's a serious injury that Trevor Harris had. I could see Drew Brown in a green and white uniform just to the chagrin of Trey Colbeck. The other one also is Ottawa. I still say, I mean, Mazzoli's injury prone. Sorry, Jeremiah. Who do you have after Jeremiah Mazzoli? Honestly, Justin Crum looked okay. Give him credit. He looked all right for a guy that had to just step in the middle of nowhere. But in all honesty, Drew Brown there has had some good backup play time. And I think that he could probably win out a competition against Mazzoli, Crum, and I'm not even sure who the other guys are. I'm sorry. But nevertheless, I think he had a good opportunity if he went to Ottawa. I think he's had a good opportunity if he goes to Calgary, and maybe a little bit lower limited, but even in Saskatchewan. I mean, right now they don't have a backup quarterback in Saskatchewan, and you need one with Trevor Harris around.
Yeah, I wonder, is this plan maybe does he go to Hamilton and try to win that out over Bo, right? For that, I mean, they say Bo's going to be the starter, but how long is he going to last without an injury there too? Ottawa, I could see Dustin Crum getting the nod. I could see Tyree Adams played one game and then got injured for the rest of the season. How high are they on him? I think Mazzoli's got a big bonus coming soon that they're going to need to make their decision on him. So Ottawa still probably feels like the front runner to me on Drew Brown as a team that could pay him. And I just want to see what he's going to do in a different offense, because so often we hype up these backups and then they go somewhere else and they don't pan out there. So, you know, how much is it the system? How much is it the quarterback? He's looked good so far. And I think he deserves a chance to start somewhere and get his shot, but not too many opportunities available around the league. Now, the Bombers were a team that early on in the free agency had started to bring back some of their notable pieces, but now they're in a bit of a holding pattern here because they've got two really big names, which is Brady Oliveira and Dalton Schoen, that are free agents and are going to demand pretty hefty contracts, but they're also pursuing NFL opportunities still. So Kyle Walters kind of commenting that, you know, some of the other options on the team that we haven't seen sign is because we're waiting to see what the price is going to be on these guys. I believe Stanley Bryant was one of the ones named in that category as well. So, you know, talking about Kyle Walters kind of mentioned next couple of weeks is going to be crunch time for them. If they're going to need an answer, and if they don't have their answer, they're going to need to plan to spend their dollars elsewhere. Trey, what do you think on Oliveira and Schoen here?
I don't know, because this gives me vibes of it's going to be one or the other. But we said that last year with about 7 of their receiving core, and they all came back somehow, right? So,
and added Kenny Lawler,
right? So, and have a quarterback over $500,000, and an offensive line that they paid decent, and Willie Jefferson, and Big Hill. So, I mean, I want to say that it's going to be one or the other, but we've been proven wrong before. I don't know. I really want them to have NFL chances, but Dalton Schoen was looked at last year, and clearly something didn't happen right. And Brady Oliveira, running backs are tough. We've had this argument. They're a dime a dozen, but you do go through 5, 6, 7 of them. So I don't know if this is just the NFL looking at him just to be like, okay, so we have a guy that we could bring in late training camp, early season, but I mean, or something like that, or have a guy in mind. But I think if anything, one of them is going to go to another team here in the CFL once free agency opens. Adam,
I think somebody's going to have to. There's finally a chink in the Winnipeg armor, as far as I could see, because you know what, Brady Oliveira is such a huge piece to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I don't know if even Winnipeg realizes that guy's a national. He's your new Andrew Harris. He has got to be worth a pile of free agency cash. Even if he makes it out of the NFL, if I was him, I'd be going and testing free agency, because guaranteed he's going to get a pile of money. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's from Winnipeg. He's probably going to give the Winnipeg Blue Bombers the old hometown discount, as they call it. But to a certain extent, I mean, that's a big piece of anybody's puzzle that they could use. And I'll tell you right now, if he ends up in free agency, if all 8 teams don't phone about Brady Oliveira to his agent, I'll be surprised, because it don't matter what team, you can always use a national running back, and especially a guy that was your yards. I think he had the most yards, most touchdowns for a running back last year in the CFL.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's a no-brainer. You go after him if you can. And as for Dalton Schoen, I mean, he's an American receiver. You do get those once in a while, but he's pretty talented. And I mean, if he's holding up a guy like Stanley Bryant's contract, you know the numbers are big, because I know Stanley Bryant is coming to the end of his career, and it's probably not going to be quite as big as it used to be for Stanley Bryant for his contract. But Winnipeg has been known for having a great offensive line, and when they're starting to question if they should sign Stanley Bryant or they're going to sign Dalton Schoen, to me, I think they're going to have to go and lose something. And it's sad, and that's the way the business works, but yeah, we're going to see a very different Winnipeg Blue Bomber team, I think, this after free agency.
Yeah, if they lose Brady Oliveira in free agency to another CFL team, like that would suck. That would suck. I think he's got to be the main guy. Like, if he goes to an NFL opportunity, that's different. But if it's CFL and you can offer him a contract versus others on the team, like, he's the guy you build your team around. I think if he hits free agency, like you said, it's the same situation with Eugene Lewis last year. I'm pretty sure all 8 teams called Eugene Lewis in free agency last year before he chose Edmonton there. So, you know, he should be a hot commodity if he hits there. My concern with some of these conversations going on is that it ends up, I hope it doesn't end up being the way it worked out with Andrew Harris last season, that the end result was good, or 2 years ago, the end result was good. They kept Brady Oliveira, and that was the right decision. The way it was handled was kind of like, okay, are we going to do this? Are we not going to do this? Radio silence, and then boom, yeah, no, you're not being brought back. Like, I hope there's enough communication going on there where it isn't all of a sudden, okay, like, yeah, we're just going to move on because we need an answer and we're planning it, and then Oliveira moves somewhere else. So that's a fine line. It's going to be hard. If I had to pick one of these two, I think you bring Brady back. Like, Dalton Schoen is a heck of a talented wide receiver, but the Bombers are pretty stacked at wide receiver, and there's plenty of them available in free agency. You're not getting a talent like Oliveira every day in free agency.
No, the one thing I wanted to say real quickly, Trey, was who's behind Brady Oliveira? Do you want Johnny Augustini running the football in Winnipeg next year?
Not as much, no.
Well, yeah, no, most definitely not as much. He's not bad, but I wouldn't want anybody other than Brady Oliveira, to be honest. What were you going to say, Trey?
No, Oliveira gives me that. Like, yeah, you're right about the Harris situation, but I think that's also you have to add 7 years or 6 years of age to Brady Oliveira for that. I think if I was a betting man, I don't really touch that stuff because it's not really good for you. But if I was a betting man, I would put my bet on Oliveira's either NFL or Blue Bombers, and then Schoen, I would bet he's on one of the other 8 teams. I think the only reason Bombers are losing Oliveira is if he goes to the NFL, or there's enough NFL interest that he says, maybe I'll remain unsigned until September and then come back to the CFL. That's all I think I can see from that. And Schoen, I think the Bombers or the other receivers showed that they don't necessarily need Schoen in the playoffs, right? He didn't play the last few weeks and in the playoffs, right? And he's a great talent, but they had other guys to pick it up a little bit. And Lawler's probably getting paid. Dembski's getting paid. Wolodarski's been a decent addition. He's been decent out there and probably getting decently paid for. Yeah. In essence, he's our national receiver. That's the position he plays, right? The kind of
Nick Dembski.
No, but I know, but he plays that position that you usually put Canadian receivers.
Oh,
in.
Yes, yeah.
And Dembski plays the inside slot that generally goes to Americans, right? So, the team has been pretty hard to fill. So, I mean, if Schoen leaves, I don't think it's the end of the world. Oliveira leaves. Yeah, I think there's a lot of pissed off Bomber fans.
Especially if he comes on to Saskatchewan.
That'd be like the reverse Dembski thing, kind of, I guess. You took.
Oh, absolutely. It'd be like a reverse Uno card. I'd take it.
Sticking with the Bombers here, a lot of Bomber news to talk about. Some surprising coaching staff adjustments for them. Let's start with special teams here. Paul Boudreau contract was let go after this. It was not renewed, and Mike Miller taking over as special teams coordinator, the all-time CFL leading special teams tackler, I believe.
Yeah.
And Mike Miller has been a mainstay there for many years. Injury kind of made him miss most, if not all, of last season, and it doesn't seem like he's going to be fit to play. So they managed to retain him and put him in the special teams coordinator role. I love that. And then on the defensive side, Jordan Younger gets a promotion to the defensive coordinator. He was the defensive backs coach the past couple of years. And Richie Hall still on the defensive staff, but no longer the defensive coordinator. Adam, you were the one who told us about these moves first. What was your initial reaction when you read them?
I was shocked about the Richie Hall move. I mean, that one there really surprised me. I thought, geez, the guy got you at how many Grey Cups already? And all of a sudden, boy, he's going down the road. Younger is a good young talent. I think he'll be all right there. I mean, he's been kind of groomed for the role. Richie Hall's worked with him for a while now. So, I mean, he'll move upstairs and Younger move up maybe to the bench or whatever they're going to do there. I think that one's okay to me. Just a little bit shocking that it happened. Mike, what do you call him? Mike there? What's that?
Miller?
Mike Miller. I think he'd be good as a special teams coordinator. I mean, all he did was tackle in it. So, like I said, it's an interesting job. be interesting to see his play calls and if he does really any special team stuff. I mean, he got a pretty good guy with a red beard beside him that can call those as well. Trey?
I'm just really quickly here. I'm just envisioning Mike Miller just getting that itch mid-game and all of a sudden taking off from the sideline, go downfield, tackle a guy.
Did you see his quote that he said somewhere where he didn't realize that he didn't put 2 and 2 together that because he's a coach that means he's retired?
Oh,
I saw a quote somewhere about that. I'll try to find it later. That he didn't realize that it sunk in after somebody said happy retirement to him. That he didn't realize he retired accepting the job. But you kind of have to. I don't think player coaches are allowed anymore, which sucks. But
I was going to mention one other thing. So you mean when Mario Alford is returning a kickoff and he looks to the running towards the sideline, Mike Miller's there. He tries to avoid the sideline.
Yep. Yeah. Miller's special teams coach is great. The other one. Matt, I had such a bipolar moment when I saw that because I was so happy when I saw the new defensive coordinator of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I thought, screw the Grey Cup. This deserves a parade at Portage in Maine right now. I am so tired of this Swiss cheese defense, holier than the Pope. Just like the Blue Bombers have a hole in their defense bigger than the rip in my gitch, guys. Like, I don't understand. It's just so disgusting. And then I thought, oh, this is great. Just kidding. He's still on our staff. And I mean, I'm not going to put it all on Richie Hall, but I mean, he's the face of it, and maybe that's what they're trying to do. Maybe the Blue Bomber organization knows that there's such a bad picture painted on this guy. But I mean, the Bombers got to do something on defense, right? Like it was disgusting. I can't remember who I was talking to or something. I was watching NFL and there was just a wide open pass and someone goes, just like the Bombers in the Grey Cup. And I was like, and that's just been echoing in my head. You got to have something better than what's going on. And I don't know, but we'll see. That's my rant.
I just got one question.
Oh God!
I gotta really go and bug you about this because if you ever met Richie Hall in person, he's like the world's nicest guy.
I know. See, I have no problem hating Zach Collaros because he kind of, I don't know, he gives me an arrogant kind of thing. Richie Hall, this looks like the sweetest beauty. I would love to have a beer with him. Do I want him coaching my defense? No, but
especially after the beer.
Yeah, have the beer, and that's it. But, I mean...
So you're telling me he's not coming to Jacksonville to help us coach the Madden cast?
No, God, no. Actually, there's been a couple plays, I feel like, over the week 1 here that I thought Richie Hall might have been our defensive coordinator. But...
Yeah, quick plug on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@CFCountdownPod. We've got some fun off-season content going on there, including the CFC Madden cast. Watch us take a Madden team to the championship.
Oh, and don't forget Trey Adam Coop Garrell on USC. 4 episodes this weekend.
Perfect. Yeah, you can find that all over on the YouTube channel there. Richie Hall, it's not clear what his role is going to be in the defensive staff here. My take on this, and I feel like I may have seen this somewhere, so I apologize if I'm taking it from somewhere. I don't remember where, but Jordan Younger, you're worried maybe you're going to lose him somewhere else, looking to give him a bit of a promotion. So maybe you give him the new role and a bit of a pay raise, but you keep Richie Hall around to be that kind of advisor, kind of like, I feel like Rich Stubler did that with some teams as well, where he wasn't the DC anymore, but was still an advisor role. I think this is not going to be a drastic change of the defensive scheme. I think you're going to be stuck with that Richie Hall defensive scheme quite a bit still. I think he's going to be the mastermind behind it, with Younger maybe being kind of the face of the defense and calling the plays, but they're going to come from Hall's playbook. And maybe I'm completely wrong on that, but having the two working together kind of seems like at this point maybe they're phasing him out, but he's still going to be heavily involved.
Remember when I said I was excited for the CFL season? You've ruined it, Ryan. It's right there. No, yeah, I don't lose any sleep if he's a nice guy. I don't, but man.
Just a beauty, man. Just a beautiful, nice guy. He's like a Morgan Freeman of the CFL.
Oh, man. Okay.
Okay, everybody, take your bets right now. Last year, coming into the season, preseason prediction, Trey goes and gives the Bombers a 7-11 record. What record is Trey giving Winnipeg this year when we do our season preview?
Oh God, can I pull up the schedule real quick?
I don't want the answer now. I just want to know. I want to know what everybody thinks your take is going to be once we get to the predictions.
Oh, yeah, you go have fun with that.
Yeah, answer the comments below.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on to an NFL signing. Austin Mack, Montreal Alouettes star receiver this past year, breakout player, not rookie of the year because he wasn't rookie eligible, but if he was, he probably would have gotten it in his first season with the Owls. Signs an NFL deal with the Atlanta Falcons. As my quick moment to say, I told you so. In our season wrap-up show, we picked who was most likely to get an NFL shot. Austin Mack is the first. Austin Mack was my pick on that one. And part of it was the dominant play. Part of it was he did come from the NFL, prior experience there. So I'm not surprised to see him get a shot. And exciting to see him stick here with the Falcons. And an offense that's going to be 90 times better than next year than it was this year because they'll have a competent offensive coach after they let Arthur Smith go, who does not know how to manage his offensive assets that he drafted 3 years in a row, or that his team drafted 3 years in a row. So, exciting Austin Mack off to the NFL. Thoughts on signing with the Falcons, guys, and I guess thoughts on this hole for Montreal now, Adam?
Huge hole. I mean, the guy had just as much talent as Eugene Lewis, filled the hole, and you didn't even notice him in Montreal missing, did you? Eugene Lewis, I mean, because Austin Mack filled it right away. Went in there, just dominated, and yeah, I mean, the guy looked good from game one right on, and I mean, for a while there in fantasy, if you didn't pick Austin Mack, you were a fool, essentially.
Except for the 1 week I made him my captain, he got ejected in the first quarter, and then I lost to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was a good week. But nevertheless, it was still a great pick. Nevertheless, like I said, Austin Mack, just been a great receiver for the Montreal Alouettes. He's going to be heavily missed. But I'll tell you, Danny Machocha did a very good job of bringing in a lot of good talent in that receiving core. If you look at guys like Speaker and you look at other players in that roster, I mean, he did a beautiful job. He had Greg Ellingson on that roster. Didn't need him. And he still won a Grey Cup. So, guys, I mean, he did a great job of drafting. He's done a beautiful work there, Danny Machocha. Well worth his extension that he received earlier in the offseason here. It sucks that he's going to lose Austin Mack, but he's got the pieces to fill it. I'm not concerned. Trey?
Yeah, I'm not concerned. The CFL is like one of those leagues where, we get upset. Like we're talking about Dalton Schoen a few minutes ago. Both teams will find a guy eventually who, will be able to fill in and do what's needed. But yeah, huge for Atlanta. Like I was high on Atlanta. I actually think that they have probably one of the best talented offenses in the league, and they were more upset about a late second touchdown, or wasn't that their game where New Orleans snuck it in with no time left? Like that's what they're more worried about, and you should be worried about your offense and stuff, right? So, I just good on him.
I'm just excited for fantasy next year. It'll be okay to draft Atlanta Falcons again now that Arthur Smith, who clearly hates fantasy football, is no longer there after the way he utilized this offensive talents. What were you going to say, Trey?
Since I don't think this had us on our initial list, but since we're on the NFL, do we want to talk about Nathan Rourke? Any thoughts on that and not playing and his chances in New England? Do you think a new coach in New England will be kinder to him? Do you think what do you guys think on that? I know, Ryan, you're the chair of the Nathan Rourke Hall of Fame committee. So what is your thoughts on your boy?
There we go. Have to get the banner up on there. Nathan Rourke, wherever you go on the social media, you can find anything and everything Nathan Rourke related going on there. Every snap he doesn't take, every dollar he puts in his pocket from holding the clipboard. It's exciting. I'm a big Nathan Rourke fan. I thought maybe going over to New England would be giving him a better chance out there. He managed to get up to second string on the roster for the final regular season game. Was it Bailey Zappi or Zapp started? Mac Jones getting demoted to the third string there. And you figured final game of the season, like Patriots did not make the playoffs, correct? Like they were pretty,
no chance. They were out for a while.
Yeah, so you would think maybe he brought in this piece recently. You kind of know what Zapp and Jones have done the past 2 years. You thought maybe he'd get some playing time in there. No, he didn't. He got none. He didn't. So I don't know. I don't know on Nathan Rourke's future. It's kind of ironic the way it works out that right after he got claimed off of waivers was more Trevor Lawrence injury news, and didn't CJ Beathard also get injured, and Rourke would have had or got nicked up a little bit in the game, and he maybe would have had a chance to go into one there. So bad luck for Rourke. I don't think any of these teams owe him anything, which kind of seems like some of the CFL fan mantra going on. I don't think they owe him more than any other player out there. I think he deserved a shot based on talent, but we'll see. Yeah, what does next year with a new coach bring for him in New England, where I would presume he would try to come back to? Because I don't think their quarterback situation's set. Adam?
Well, I don't know if he stays in New England. I don't know if he'll have a new coach or not. It might still be the hoodie. I don't think he got fired, did he?
I thought his contract's up.
I think it's been made pretty clear.
Pretty clear. I thought I heard that. I thought I even heard Atlanta or something was his next spot.
Well, I heard that it was his GM job that was going to come up, and then his head coaching job might be sticking around. Nevertheless, it sucks for Nathan Rourke that he didn't get a shot in that last game. I mean, it's the New York Jets. Come on. What do they have? Like, they played Chris Trevler. They're clearly not a very good team. Nevertheless, I think that Nathan Rourke, he deserved a shot somewhere. He has a chance in New England. If it is Bill Belichick, he has brought in Canadian quarterbacks before. See Doug Flutie. He knows what he's looking for in quarterbacks that come from the Canadian Football League. He knows what they are, and he knows what they're capable of. He has an opportunity just like everyone else. Now, that being said, if New England in their first round goes and drafts a quarterback, he's going to be the guy that's instantly anointed the starter because that's how the NFL works for some weird reason or another. And then all bets are off. I don't think Rourke should be in New England because he's probably going to get cut. Along with Mac Jones, because Mac Jones is terrible. And that was a first-round pick. So, honestly, I'd take Nathan Rourke over Mac Jones if we want to play that to who's taking over who. But I really don't know. I think he's got an opportunity still to have a backup role somewhere and get his opportunity to start somewhere. I don't know with what team yet because, boy, there's a lot of NFL football and a whole offseason to go through before Nathan Rourke gets another shot.
I'm just quickly looking right now. The Patriots have the 3rd overall pick and a pretty heavy quarterback first round. And it's unclear who Chicago's going to take because they have a decent quarterback. So do they take Caleb Evans or they stick with? That's very interesting. I didn't even realize they had such a high pick. Yeah, I just like it too. People complaining about it, not getting his shot. I mean, did we really think he was going to get a huge shot? Like,
only initially when he had all of those workouts, like, and some, because he had like 14, 16 workouts last year, and some of them were team set. It's like, yeah, they could use a starter, right? So I thought maybe he'd get more of a shot. I thought it was, I get why he went to Jacksonville, but I didn't feel like it was a good opportunity for him necessarily there either. So that was always going to happen. He's not going to jump straight to the league start and be like an all-star starter there. He was going to hold the clipboard for a season, maybe 2 seasons, maybe 3. And we'll see how many it is before he gets a shot in the NFL. And I think once he does, he can shine. Or he maybe makes that decision to come back to Canada one day.
The other thing also is, just for you guys that want to play the game, where do you think, right now, you're looking at all the eliminated teams, which would be the best fit for Nathan Rourke? I was taking a look here. I think probably Washington, honestly, wouldn't be a bad choice for Rourke. Taylor Heineke was a guy that came out of the XFL the second time?
Isn't he in Atlanta now?
I
Yeah,
think
he's
he
moved
moved over
around
there
a
now.
couple times. Yeah.
Yeah, he's rotated around, but honestly, the Commanders gave him a shot. He was in the XFL. The Commanders have nothing really for a quarterback going on.
Sam Howell was pretty good this year. Well, granted, a part of that was also just volume based because they were trailing so many games. But at one point in the year, he was like top 4 fantasy quarterback. So,
well, yeah, but if you're losing 52-0, I mean, you can get a lot of yards. That's my opinion. Would be Washington maybe? Another one might be Denver's going to be looking for a quarterback. I don't know if he can do the whole Broncos country let's ride though.
See, but both franchises you mentioned, I would feel I wouldn't want him to go because I think Washington would ruin him. Like, sure, maybe you'd have a playing opportunity, but what has Washington done? And same with Denver. They literally have a guy like they just destroyed a guy that they owe $300 million or something to, or $200 million, right? I just don't understand. Like, you want him to go to a team that's competitive or at least has a front office that knows what they're doing.
Honestly, though, Denver destroyed themselves. Russell Wilson was nothing out of Seattle. I don't care. They gave him the big money they shouldn't have, but Russell Wilson was not a good choice in Denver. They've got pieces in Denver. I mean, they've got a great defense. They've got Judy. They've got a few other Sutton. They've got a few pieces for them to work with. They need to fix their old lineup a bit because, I mean, that's disastrous. But other than that, I mean, I don't know if Nathan Rourke would be a starter there right off the bat, but I think he could make a serviceable backup.
Yeah, we could get into that whole Russ situation, but that would take a while to discuss how that whole weird being benched situation this season. I didn't even think he was that bad this year, to be honest.
From a Browns fan, I am so sorry, Denver. I'm so sorry.
Joe Flacco for MVP?
Absolutely.
I definitely would do comeback player of the year. That's definitely one.
That's a no-doubter.
Wow, that's a whole other topic, but people want Hamlin, and I'm like, did he play enough? Like, I get it, but a lot of people are pushing the Hamlin thing, and I get it.
But he was expected to come back. Joe Flacco was sitting on the couch eating chips with his kids.
And I don't think Hamlin really ever played much this year. So
no, he is not.
A bit, but not much. No,
it would just be a bad PR move for Buffalo to cut him, honestly. So,
pretty much.
Anyway, we have one more topic. What's up next, Ryan?
Yeah, I think, we're talking about where guys might go. Some interesting names will be entering the free agent pool, and they always do at this time of year for the CFL, because this is the time of year, this month and early next month, when those roster bonuses are due. It's those we get this conversation every year. If we see notable names cut, and it's how is this fair to the players, that they get cut at this time of year? And why is it different with coaches and things like that? These roster bonuses and these cuts based on the bonuses, a lot of times are to help the player, right? Like the cutting, like putting the bonus that early on, either A, they get more money from the bonus, or B, the team has to make a decision now in January before the bonus to cut you. And that gives you freedom for an extra month to find a new home before other guys do. So, there's been a couple notable ones so far. The main ones I've seen were Stephen Dunbar over in Edmonton. You're pretty solid receiver there. Derek Moncrief. I don't know, Adam, was that a bonus situation there when he was let go by the Riders? Aaron Grimes, a mainstay in Edmonton for a while now. He was also let go by the Elks, which was a bit of a surprise there. I'm sure there's going to be more coming in the next couple of weeks. What are you guys' thoughts on this kind of time of year where we get these roster bonus cuts, Adam?
Well, it sucks because, I mean, it's a terrible part of the business that the players really don't get much control on. I mean, yes, you signed the contract for the bonus. It just puts you in a spot where, okay, well, hopefully I performed enough last year, so they'll give me that bonus, because ultimately it's up to the general manager and the president of the operations. If you're going to get that bonus, it's a terrible part of the business. It sucks. No contracts guaranteed. It'd be great if they were in one way and another way. Some of these GMs can hang themselves pretty bad. See Chris Jones for an example. But I think if you look at some of these, I mean, It looks like Duke Williams, I think, won't be around with Hamilton by the sounds of it. That was
no surprise, right?
Yeah, fair enough. But I mean, still a big name receiver, technically. Adam Konar from the Edmonton Elks sounds like he's going to be done with the Elks.
Yeah.
There'll be more as the days go along here. Probably until January 15th. I would think we're going to see some more cuts. As you said, probably Jeremiah Masoli's do a big bonus. There may be something in the works there. So you're seeing these restructuring and these deals, and it sucks for the player because he really doesn't get much control in this. It's up to the GM, essentially. If the GM thinks that he's worth keeping, he'll maybe lower it a little bit and still play a little bit of games and maybe try to restructure like we've seen all night here. Or, you never know, he just says, the heck with it, I'll just cut him. It's a terrible part of business, but what do you do? Trey?
You know, my opinion's actually soured on this a little bit towards the players. If I got fired, I'm not getting my Christmas bonus. So why am I crying that they don't get their bonus? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know around Christmas time, some businesses give out bonus. I get fired in November. I ain't getting my Christmas bonus. That's how it goes, right? So I don't know. To me, cuttings, you're just getting fired and performance-based. So I don't know. If I get fired, I have a contract that says I get paid $20 an hour, but if I get fired, that's no longer happening, right? So I don't know. That's my opinion.
But it seems like to me teams take a little bit of an advantage of that, right?
I mean, guess so.
The player might be pretty good and still worth something, but they really have the control in their hand, the team. I mean,
you're right. You're right. But I mean, what boss doesn't have the say at the end of the day? You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. I've worked enough jobs where I'm like, all bosses suck. You know what I mean? To some degree, because either they're hard on you and they don't pay you good enough, and they, it's a pizza party's your bonus, or you get the ones who are too lax and they don't know what they're doing, right? So, you're never gonna win.
Fortunately, me and Trey don't have any signing bonuses, so we don't have to worry about getting cut by Ryan.
Yeah, exactly. You guys, contracts are safe. So don't worry about it.
Well, they're actually free agents.
Free agents right now. And hey, there's a whole alternative football network just looking for talent, man.
All right, we're going to have to back up the Brinks truck.
Okay.
Winnipeg and Brady Oliveira have nothing on what we're going to be going for.
Yeah, we're going to have to make some budget cuts. Let me turn off the overlay. We can't afford that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I guess we'll see any more which other big roster cuts come in the next little while. And like I said, there is some benefit for the players here as well that they can get head start on free agency. So we might have some interesting signings to talk about from some of these moves here as well before free agency kicks off in February. Any other topics you guys want to talk about? Should we wrap it up?
You guys want to do a quick fast fire NFL playoff picks? Just fast. Who wins? Who wins? No spreads. Just who wins. So we'll go first. Saturday, 3:30 game. Browns at Houston. Ryan, you go first because I know what I'm probably thinking Adam's going to pick.
We got to go for the Joe Flacco magic here, I think. I feel like Houston, I don't know if they've gotten healthy now, but I know they had a lot of injuries on offense there too. I go with Flacco and the Browns.
Adam?
Three words for you. Woof, woof, woof.
Yeah, dog pound. You got to go with Flacco. He's won Super Bowls against CJ Stroud, first year in the league, and coming back from injury. You got to go with that. So all three Browns. Next game. This is the Peacock game that I love the Americans complaining about because all our games are on TSN. So who cares? Miami and the Miami Dolphins going into KC. I saw something. This could be the coldest NFL game on record.
I saw that too.
Yeah. So, and we all know how Miami doesn't, Maybe coach there will actually have to pull down his pants and not have the flood pants going for it. Adam, what do you think? Do you think Mahomes got it?
Mike McDaniel's going to be running off the field for a whole new reason, but Kansas City's got this. Taylor Swift will have a part on.
Right?
Oh, I don't know. I lean towards Miami, but I remember that stat. Didn't they have a crazy stat where it's been like 500 days or something like that since they beat a team with a winning record or something? Maybe that got shattered later in the season. I don't trust Kansas City right now, man. I'm going with the Dolphins. I know when we did our season wrap-up show, I think I had my KC in the Super Bowl. Yeah, I'm out on that now. I'm going with Dolphins.
See, I was leaning on Dolphins all week until I heard the weather, and then that really got me. The weather, football weather changes things a lot, but I'll go Dolphins. I'm pretty high on the Dolphins. So we'll go there. Then we'll move on to the Sunday. I just gotta say, as soon as they've added the 7th seed, 6 playoff games on this super wild card, it's been amazing. Now with the 2 games Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and a Monday nighter, amazing. First game on Sunday, the noon game, Steelers. How the hell did Steelers make the playoffs? It's beyond me. I don't even know who their quarterback is. Is it that Rudolph guy still?
It's Mason Rudolph.
Oh, jeez, man. I don't even know. And they're going to go up against Buffalo Bills. I don't know, Ryan. I think this line, I know we didn't say line. I think this line was pretty crazy. There was 2 this week that was nuts, and I think this was the one. But Ryan, I'll pull it up. You go with your pick, though.
Buffalo earlier in the season, time and time again, was just a big letdown to me because they're so hyped up all the time. But I feel like they've been a lot better since they made their offensive coaching change later in the season as well. I'm going to go with the Bills on this one, but I don't know. Pittsburgh can surprise you sometime.
Adam?
TJ Watt is injured. He won't be there, so they have no defense. They've got Mason Rudolph as their quarterback.
And it's not Christmas anymore.
It ain't Christmas anymore. There's no miracles on whatever street they're on in Pittsburgh. Heinz Field, well, it won't be even in Heinz Field. It'll be in Buffalo. So, you know what? Poor Yinzer's in Pittsburgh. It's going to be ugly. Don't turn the TV on. Buffalo will crush you.
Yeah, so wild enough, this is the biggest spread, minus 9.5 on Buffalo, but it's also the lowest over-under right now. I have at 36.5.
That sounds about right.
So Buffalo's going to win by 10, but they're not going to score more than 20 points. That's pretty crazy. But I'll take Bills Mafia.
just watch Josh Allen throw like 5 times.
You know what? I did take Miami on Sunday night, and they had it for a while. I even took the over picks on Josh Allen because he's going to throw picks. This week, I could see him getting out of it, but then whoever he faces next week, it'll be not great. This game is intriguing. It's the second biggest line at 7.5, but I don't know. The Packers and the Cowboys. Historically, this is a heck of a game if you look at the NFC. But this year, Jordan Love, I thought I saw somewhere he was second in passing yards this year, or passing touchdowns or something crazy like that. And then there's, I almost said Romo, Prescott, who you never know what you're going to get, but they're crazy at home too. So what do you guys got?
I'll go with that. I'll go with Dallas just because I don't like it. I really don't like it. I'm not comfortable with Dallas, but especially with Love. I mean, how does Green Bay keep picking up these quarterbacks? But nevertheless, no, I'm going to go with Dallas. I'll say, though, the Green Bay covers that.
I think it was 7.5, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go Dallas as well. Though I like what I've seen from Green Bay. They've got some of those young receivers in there that are playing pretty good with Jordan Love. But I don't know, Dallas this year, and I know it's probably like this every year, but they've looked unreal this season. It's got to break eventually, right?
I don't like the Mike McMurphy's on Dallas's bench too now. Everything about that, I don't like Dallas, but I'm going to have to take them.
I'm not. The Dallas is the Toronto Maple Leafs to me. I'm not taking them out.
They finally, as a fan of a team that lost to the Leafs this past season, they finally won a playoff round. So it's got to happen for Dallas eventually.
But I just more meant the insufferableness of it's 24/7 Cowboys, it's 24/7 Maple Leafs on sports. Give me the Packers. Jordan Love picking him up on fantasy was the greatest thing, and I'm going to ride that train. And I'll take a risk when it comes to the betting there. Sunday nighter, this is interesting. The Jared Goff revenge game potentially here because now he's on Detroit after LA booted him to the worst team in history, Detroit, taking Stafford and winning that Super Bowl. Stafford has a chance to get, Goff has a chance to get a last laugh in here. Ryan, do you think he will?
Detroit and the Rams, right?
Rams is another team that I'm surprised they're in the playoffs. Kind of, so.
I think I'm going to go with the Rams. I think I'm going to take them over Detroit. Detroit, their defense has been giving up a lot in the second half of the season, and I was high on them earlier in the year and then kind of like Kansas City. They kind of trailed off a little bit and lost some games they really should have won. And the Rams, I mean, Kyren Williams was my greatest fantasy football pickup ever when I got him in like week 2, and together with Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, like Matt Stafford's been playing pretty good. I'm going to go with the Rams in a tight one here.
That's wild. Adam?
First of all, your Dallas pick is just so you can taste the tears of Mike Carroll. I know what it is. But
when that final whistle blows and Jordan Love's doing the kneeling formation, and I love the one thing I do like about the NFL. I kind of hate it and I kind of like it when the clock's still running down and they shake hands, because it's like you could still have a chance. That's what I'm going to be texting Mike. How about them Cowboys?
I mean, probably that's the most text thing to like every person when they lose, when the Cowboys lose. Anyways, I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. They've been pretty good all year. They got a coach that seems like they really can be motivated by him. He does some dumb calls, but nevertheless, we won't get into that. Jared Goff still look pretty good. They've got probably one of the best running games right now around, I think. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions.
I'm going to take Detroit. In my opinion, they should have beat Dallas whenever that game was with the iffy call near the end of the game there. I like Detroit. I think this is their year. The Rams, I'm not a fan of Stafford anymore. So they got the young pieces that have been very excited. I forgot about those going into it. Now the Monday Nighter, I love the Monday night playoffs. You got the Eagles on the road. They fell off here going into Baker Mayfield zone here. Oh man, who do you got? Adam, the former Brown. Who do you got to take him or what?
Honestly, it's going to be close. I mean, you look at what the Eagles have done here. I mean, other than Kelsey spontaneously combusting, everything else has gone wrong for the Eagles this year. I mean,
isn't AJ Brown injured now too?
Yeah, I think he is. Why not? I mean, if they win, they should. In theory, anything should beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year. I mean, a light breeze should bake in Baker, but somehow Baker's going to win it because the Eagles are they just got in this funk, and boy, is she deep. This is going to be like the garbage bowl essentially, because honestly, it's going to be ugly. But I don't know. Baker's going to win it somehow.
Ryan. I'm with you. Give me that Mayfield magic. He was the quarterback that led me to a fantasy football league championship. I lost partially because of Baker Mayfield, but no, I just got destroyed. But he helped get me there. I mean, he's been playing pretty good down the stretch, and the Eagles are another. I don't know. All these top teams in the league that should be dominating games just didn't a lot of times this year. So I'll take the upsets for the chaos. This was the first game. I was probably more undecided on the Packers and Cowboys than I was on this. As soon as I saw it announced, give me Tampa Bay all day on the Monday night game. I love that Monday night game. On Madden, for whatever reason, they do
the Monday night game. That's the problem.
Yeah, on Madden, whatever reason, the game schedules 3 on Saturday and 3 on Sunday. They need to put one on Monday. Like, just give me a Monday game. Who cares? Yeah. Well, that's it. That game was plus 3.5 for Tampa Bay. You're taking the Bucks too? All day Bucks. Yeah. So give us the Bucks. This was the one set in stone the second the schedule was released. I was like, I'm taking Tampa Bay. I've lost all faith in Philly. They're on the road.
Ugliest division this whole year, and they're going to win the first round against the Eagles.
They'll I don't know. They'll see craziness happen on Saturday and Sunday, and then they'll choke. So they'll realize they'll have to play Dallas or something next week. So they'll just call it quits.
Knowing Philadelphia's luck lately, one player might literally choke. They're either going to lose or they're going to win on the tush push, and then everyone's going to hate it.
Yeah, I was getting kind of annoyed by Buffalo doing it, honestly, over on Sunday. So I'm getting annoyed about it, but it's more of a football play than the fake punt in the CFL, right? So
I don't understand what it is. Like, is it not just a QB sneak?
Yeah, it is, but it's the only difference is it's called a tush push because you have your running back literally coming up behind you.
Oh,
Where a quarterback sneak traditionally is you just put your nose down and get the 1 yard. Where, that's the only difference.
I gotcha. So running back pushes you forward. Yeah, everyone should do it.
Which I thought that's against the rules in general, or are you allowed to push your teammates again?
You're allowed to push your teammates again. We see that in the CFL all the time.
Well, I thought they tried getting rid of it in one league, and it might be back.
So which was the stupider one? The onside kick or the tush or the brotherly push?
I'd get rid of the dribble punt before the tush push.
Yeah.
I would modify.
I mean, I'd modify
it. I'd modify it. I think you still need to get the first down or something. Like whatever, you know what I mean? Something like that. I think something.
You have to kick 10.
Yeah. Because that's always what I thought. We tried the onside punt in high school, and of course high school rules could be different, but it had to go 10 yards. And then the onside guy or the punter could jump on it. And to me, that's the same thing, right? But
yeah.
Because whatever stops the punter from just doing it to himself.
You have to be behind the punter, I think.
But the punter's onside too. He's behind the ball.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but kickoff's a little different.
But because technically, when the Montreal player did it, he is the punter.
No, it's a kicker. Yeah. It's a kickoff. It's a kicker.
No,
Kicker's different from punter.
No, but isn't the dribble kick on the punt? Like he's punting it.
Yeah, I think.
What's stopping? I'm saying, what's stopping the punter from just dribbling it to himself? And then he picks it up and he gets a first down because sometimes there's never guys in his face. Sometimes there is, so you run that risk. But
where on the kickoff or when?
I'm talking about punt.
No, on the punt.
We're talking about the dribble punt. The dribble punt.
That's what they were doing, weren't they?
Well, it's a masking, but they were throwing it out to a receiver or something, weren't they?
Yeah, they were running a regular play and then doing the dribble.
So my question is, what stops just a normal third down punt? A punter doing it to himself. He picks up 1 yard and it's a first down when he's 20 yards back in his backfield.
I guess we got to have Andre Poole on as a guest. So
or just tell tell your punter to take an extra step or two back, and as long as your long snapper gets it, no one should be in his face. He just dribbles it to himself.
Maybe Mike Miller's going to cook this up for the special teams for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
I hate it more now because there's a lot of possibilities to it.
On that note,
if you're a CFL ref and have the answer, comment below. Yeah. We'd be glad to know.
Let us know. We'd love to interview you. Yeah. All right, let's wrap things up here, guys. Upcoming content here on the show. I mean, we've got our off-season content. Trey, you've got some more UFC content coming out on the YouTube channel. We've got more episodes of the CFC Madden cast coming out, so check that out, youtube.com/@CFCountdownPod for that fun stuff. Over the next month, I'm sure we'll get plenty more CFL news, and we'll get back together here to chat through all of that leading up to free agency. Not going to promise the 8-hour free agency show at this point in time. I'm thinking of it. I've got some logistical issues to iron out first. So stay tuned to know what we're doing for free agency. I'm sure we'll do something of some regard, just not sure how many hours. In terms of other content that we did have going, I apologize. I had so many things that I said I was going to put out that I just got busy and didn't. So I had started the off-season Outlook series. You can go back and look at our Outlook for the Montreal Alouettes. I don't know if I'm going to get the rest of those done before free agency, to be honest. I probably don't have the time. And also our season wrap-up, or our end of season highlight clips show. We never got that one out, but maybe we'll have some of those clips coming up elsewhere in the near future. We'll see. On social media, we're at CF Countdown Pod on Twitter or X. On Facebook, we're facebook.com/CF Countdown Pod. Check out the Canadian Football Podcast Network at CF Pod Network. Check out the Alternative Football Network at the official AFN or alternativefootballnetwork.com. Where can people find everything you guys have going on? Trey, let's start with you.
You can find me on X at Trey Harness Link. I got harness racing news. Second episode of my UFC podcast should drop this week. There's been a long month off of that. Kind of like the UFC taking Christmas and the New Year off. It's actually been a nice little break. But I've been mad watching replays again. That's all I do. Horse racing and UFC. So yeah, and this. So check me out there. Adam, where are you going to be this week in hockey, man? What's going on?
Well, first things first. Actually, Wednesday, if you're talking UFC, George St. Pierre is going to be at the Cote First Nation. Pretty close to us, actually. Almost about a half hour, 45 minutes. That would be cool to go see George St. Pierre. So that's awesome. If he shows up at the hockey game, I'm terrified. Because we got to go play Cody this weekend on Friday night in Kansas.
What if he's on the ice?
I'm just going to sit there and turn my head this way and say, you do what you got to do.
Or what if he's the other team's coach? Yeah.
Tonight's the trade deadline, Adam. Make it happen.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's tomorrow. That's, free agent deadline. So you can sign anybody that hasn't been signed yet if there is anybody, or you can make trades, which in the history of senior hockey in Saskatchewan, a trade has never been made. So perfect one for TSN to cover. Hey, it's a perfect one for TSN to cover for 12 hours. Anyways, Friday we got Cody. Saturday we've got the really, really tough test with the Rocanville Tigers in Rocanville. The old Tigers are a very tough team. We've played them in the league finals so many years that it's not even funny. But hey, there's other teams coming up in the league. Kenora, they're in the lead right now. So good on them. And going to be fun watching the rest of the senior hockey from here on in. Thursday evening, I'll give a little plug to another podcast if they are listening. The boys over at the Monday Nooner will be announcing the provincial draws. So if you do want to see where the Theodore Buffaloes are going to end up in provincials, it's a good opportunity to go and check them out. So Thursday, 6:30 over at the Monday Nooner channel. Barney and the boys, they should have that done. Other than that, lots of stuff with senior hockey for me. Lots of things going on. It's snowing and it's cold and, it's hockey season right now.
Is it actually Buffaloes?
Buffalo?
Yes on it?
Buffalo.
Isn't Buffalo already plural?
No.
Buffalo. Is the whole Elks thing here? I'm pretty sure Buffalo is the plural.
We've been to Buffaloes for many of you for 50, 60 plus years. Give it up.
No, I heard that about a Bison team. There's somewhere where it's called the Bisons, and technically it was when grammatically Bisons was right, and then
Bisons.
And now it's Buffalo is the same. Just bugging you.
We already know where the Theodore Buffaloes end up, Adam. It's number one in our hearts as the unofficial Canadian football podcast of the Theodore Buffaloes. Also, I look forward to my entry-level contract in the mail tomorrow. I've never skated in my life. I can't skate, but you know what? I make an excellent net front presence. So
I've seen Trey. I've seen Trey and Ryan. I've seen height of Ryan and the size of Trey. I think we'd have a pretty good team if we just sent him out there and did absolutely nothing but stand in front of the goaltender.
I can skate. I can't stop. So I'm going to finish every check into the boards. So, I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Hey, we always ask you to finish every check. So, carry on.
Oh, man, in all of the world, who would have thought a podcast would have two guys from Canada who can't skate?
Actually,
has that ever happened before?
To be honest, 3 because I can hardly skate too. So. And I managed the team. You think I could skate?
Man.
Oh. No.
You know what they say? Those who can't skate manage.
See Kyle Dubas.
Anyways, check out the CFC Discord community. Once again, link in the description if you want to hear us go back and forth with more stuff like this. And all the CFL talk as well. Whatever podcast platform you're listening on, we appreciate it if you do all the fun things like comment, subscribe, rate, review, share the show with your friends. Help us grow the show. We always appreciate that. And on behalf of Adam and Trey, I'm Ryan saying thank you for listening. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.